Welcome to Ellis B. Feaster's Radio Air Check and Classic TV channel.
Ladies and gentlemen, Irv Homer.
Indeed, the weather for WWDB and Philadelphia, and this is exclusive for this area. I can vouch for Camden. It'll be cloudy this afternoon, high in the mid-40s, partly cloudy tonight, tomorrow, low tonight in the mid to the upper 30s, high tomorrow in the low 50s. Precipitation probability about 20% this afternoon. Till 1:30, we'll have as our guest David Dalton. David is the author of the book that has only been on the market for 3 weeks now, The Rolling Stones, The First 20 Years. It is 20 years of the Rolling Stones, their successes, their failures, everything you want to know about the Rolling Stones, but we're afraid to ask. And David and I had an interesting conversation, and we'll get the telephones right away. But we had an interesting conversation off microphone that you old heads out there like me, okay? It ain't going to be easy to listen to the Rolling Stones when you're used to listening to Benny Goodman and Gene Autry. But it's what our kids are listening to, and they're getting a message from the Stones. It's their music, it's their generation, and it's what they relate to. And unless you listen to it, and I'm not advocating the pot or any of the other things that you find offensive, but that's what that's what our kids are listening to. And I think that's what's in the book. In fact, that is what is in the book. If you read this book, and I'm not getting a commission on the book, but if you read this book, it'll give you a slight understanding of what young people are tuned into. It'll give you a better opportunity to relate to your own children. Alan and David, how do you feel about that comment?
Well, it's not just young people. A lot of people have recently started to listen to the Rolling Stones who are in high school, and you say, what do you think of the old Rolling Stones? They say, yeah, Some Girls was really great, and that was only 3 years ago. A lot of people have been listening to the Rolling Stones since Satisfaction came out in 1965. And the age span of the people listening to the Rolling Stones might be from 12 to 35 or 40. So you can't really say just young people.
But I'm talking about the old heads who are set in their way, Alan and Dave. Let's go back to the telephones because David has to split at 1:30. You're on WWDB with Dave Dalton. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was wondering, do you know if this is going to be the last tour?
The Stones always say that, and it's sort of a good way to sell tickets, if you know what I mean. But absolutely not. I mean, this tour is so successful. And secondly, as they say, what else are they going to do? I mean, they love playing, and they're pushing the limits of rock. I mean, they're going to be 40 next year. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really interesting that a rock band has stayed together. See, the Stones are not a group like the Beach Boys, God bless them.
Yeah.
Basically have got into a nostalgia bag. They come out and play all their old things. Stones, this is a new record, and a record for 1981, new music. They're still a current group, and I think they have almost a sort of, how would you say, a campaign to see how long rock, can go on. And I think it with somebody as committed as Keith Richards, I think it can go on indefinitely.
Well, do you think they're going to make a live album out of this? Because like they usually go every other tour.
Yeah, I would say they can't resist that. That's sort of
doing a lot of old stuff.
Yeah, I the Sucking in the '70s. Yeah. Even a lot of the live albums I could do without, because I've got so many versions of them. But at the same time, I kind of like, some of the versions are so great, and if you were at that concert, you really want it.
Oh yeah, with all the bootlegs and all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you for calling.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. We'll be back with more questions for David Dalton, author of the book, The Rolling Stones, The First 20 Years, and Coco just won't keep her mouth shut in the background there. See, I told you I'd do it to you. Did you know that almost all working people in the United States pay at least 30% of their weekly income to the government? Well, now there's a research group dedicated to helping you save those hard-earned dollars. Liberty Independent Research is holding seminars every Wednesday night at the Holiday Inn in King of Prussia at 7:45. Dr. John Dello will discuss the untaxable positions of the 80s. The seminars will reveal how you can gain control of money that you've been paying unnecessarily on taxes. You learn how to save from 70 to 100% on income tax, capital gains tax, even Social Security tax. Now, Liberty Independent Research guarantees that they'll show you how you can position yourself to reduce your taxes by these amounts, or your $20 donation will be refunded. So stop throwing away your hard-earned income. Call Liberty Independent Research, 461-1780, or write to Dr. John Dello, Box 6, Sharon Hill, Pennsylvania, 19079. The number to call for information on the seminars in your area is 461-1780, 461-1780.
All cameras look alike.
But they're not.
All small cars look alike.
But they're not.
All color televisions look alike.
But they're not.
Especially Zeniths.
All Zenith color sets are made with modular chassis.
They're more expensive to build, but they're more reliable and can be serviced in your home.
All Zeniths have trifocus picture tubes.
That gives you a clearer, sharper picture.
And most of the Zeniths have a completely automatic color system.
Which automatically adjusts for the light in the room and self-adjusts the quality of the color.
And most Zeniths are cable ready.
All televisions may look alike,
but they're not.
One stands out.
Zenith.
I'm born again.
Going to go on. Paul's TV Sales and Service at 603 Stroud Avenue.
Maker Robert Bruce. You'll choose from washable acrylics or rich blends of wool with man-made fibers for extra strength. In a man-sized selection of rugbies, chenilles, jacquards, and Shetland weights and classic crews and V-necks. But hurry to pay just $18 or get 2 for $34 when Gimbel's puts your favorite Robert Bruce sweaters on sale because
It's Gimbel's time! We hear you on WWDB, the talk station.
Are you tired of seeing your heating and cooling dollars leak out of your home? Well, Ambassador has 3 very important offers for you, so please listen carefully. You may be burning precious fuel dollars every time the wind blows around your home. Well, Ambassador will locate and seal those leaks for much less than you might pay elsewhere. And if you're a do-it-yourselfer, Ambassador will mail you a special energy-saving guide for only $39.95. After you purchase the do-it-yourself guide, and you'd still like to have Ambassador do the work for you, they'll deduct the cost of the guide from their already low service charge. Or just call Ambassador at 364-3030, and they'll do all the work for you since they already know what's in the guide. Ambassador is your best buy for home energy savings. Ambassador is a member of the Better Business Bureau, and their trained professionals are there to serve you. Don't wait till it's too late to act. Call Ambassador now at 364-3030, 364-3030.
365-4100 is the contact number. David Dalton is my guest today. He's the author of the book, The Rolling Stones, the first 20 years. David, one question. How long did it take you to put this book together?
It took us about 2.5 years altogether.
Incredible.
A work of obsession, love, and
devotion.
Really.
You're on WWDB with Dave Dalton. Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Holman, in reference to a comment that was just made a couple minutes ago, and I don't think it was necessarily by the author. I think you have another gentleman there that was talking about the chronological age order of the people that listen to the Stones.
Yes, sir. Alan Tolles made that statement.
Yeah, right. Now, I kind of agree with him, although you do have some of the, as you call them, old heads that wouldn't necessarily take a liking to their music, but the age ranges from anywhere, I would say, middle teens to late 20s, early 30s, where I'm at, and plus closer to, I think, 40. But that's not what I wanted to talk about, really. I wanted to ask the author how much of his book and his writings does he put in there the fact of the roots of their music, in particular rhythm and blues, from when they started out in the early 60s and I guess the late 50s or whatever. I wanted to find out how much of his music, or how much of their music does he goes into the roots of where rock and roll stemmed from, or how the Stones got started.
Actually, the whole first part of the book concerns the roots of the Stones' music, and it goes in very deeply into how they discovered R&B, which is basically an unknown music in England, and adapted it. How when they came to the States, how they heard soul music and basically adapted that. they're the first to admit that, you know, that is the roots of their music. Black music is the source of rock and roll and the Stones' music, and that's, you know, they're second generation.
Yeah. See, the reason I asked this because of the fact that I understand the, you know, the whole hoopla surrounding their concerts and whenever their records come out, it's because they have certain, you know, controversial topics. If they're not about women, they're about races or whatever. And the fact that there's not too much of an emphasis, media emphasis, put on where their music started from, you know, how they got to going, because I know when they come here, they go to Chicago to, you know, play with Muddy Waters in a one-night stand, or I don't know how many people might have realized that Otis Redding did Satisfaction.
Right.
Absolutely. That was their first record.
You know that Stevie Wonder, I don't know if you know this, cites the Stones as an inspiration of his music of the 70s. In fact, there's has never been bootleg, but the Stones and Stevie Wonder jammed together in 1965.
Yeah, I remember. Well, I don't think it was 60. It was in the late 60s because the Stones played the Spectrum, and Stevie was the one that opened up for them.
Right.
And there was some conflict between Stevie Wonder and the Stones that I think has been resolved.
Yeah, I think that was a misunderstanding. You know, but you have to understand.
Bleep bleep, sorry. Bleep bleep, sorry. Bleep bleep, sorry. Bleep bleep, sorry. Bleep.
Opened their show, tried to open their show like with Muddy Waters, Buddy Guy, B.B. King, Ike and Tina Turner, a lot of like on the last tour, who opened for them?
The last one.
In the large arenas, in here at JFK, where they did large stadiums, there were all-white bands. Foreigner opened for them. They brought Peter Tosh because they were trying to push, I guess, the Rolling Stones record label. But up in the Meadowlands just recently, the other night, Tina Turner opened for the Rolling Stones.
Right.
And she was incredible.
I think the Stones have always tried, you know, to have the people they admired open for them, and tried to, you know, expose it by having people like B.B. King and Ike and Tina Turner, Stevie Wonder, open for them. I think that any interview you've ever read with Keith Richards, he'll, you know, readily admit to it. The press doesn't emphasize it because, you know, it's not sensational. I mean, they always hit on, you know, drug busts, sex, who they're going out with. They're not really interested in.
And I know those things are deterrent, you know, to the morals of the youth. But I think there are some. I'm not condoning what they do. I think there's some positive things as far as the beginnings of where their music stems from, other than, you know, getting into those other things. But
would it be safe? Excuse me a minute. Would it be safe to say to the caller that the recognition of rhythm and blues, which is basically black music, that the Stones' success has been primarily by using black music, and that the world doesn't realize that this whole phenomena of rock music may have been originated from rhythm and blues and from black music. However, I do believe, and Dave, you can either support me or say I'm wrong, I do believe that those within the industry, those like the Stones who recognize and would have Tina Turner as an opening act, or Stevie Wonder, recognize that that's where it came from and give full recognition to the origin.
It also goes both ways. I started to listen to the Stones before I listened to Otis Redding because, you know, I've heard the Rolling Stones first.
But you're a honky, Alan, that's why.
Sorry. when I heard their music first, I thought, wow, this came from somewhere, and went back and bought a lot of old Chuck Berry records to find out where it came from.
Yeah, that's almost like the same thing with just taking for an example, the Blues Brothers or whatever, Sam and Dave. Now, wherein people wouldn't necessarily listen to Sam and Dave, now when they see Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi go through one of their numbers or their stints, they figure, well, this sounds to be pretty good, and then it works in reverse. Instead of coming from the original.
And kids will go try and find Stax Volt records that are impossible to find.
Oh, well, I mean, they went out of business.
Right. Thank you for calling, sir. Bye-bye. 365-4100, you're on the air with David Dalton. Go ahead.
Hi, I wanted to ask your guest his age.
38.
Okay. Because you were saying the generation gap, and I just thought that I should say this. I'm 27 years old, and I grew up with the Rolling Stones and the Beatles, and I get kind of mad when I hear people sort of snicker in the background when someone older calls up and says about drugs and all, because you can't blame them. It's the truth. I think they're great musicians. I have many of their albums, and I have many of the Beatles albums, but I have to honestly say, and I did a lot of drugs too, but when I think of the Rolling Stones and the Beatles, I do think of the days of all the drugs. And that's why I don't really feel that you should laugh, snicker in the background when someone older says that, because you really can't blame them, because they're right.
Well, you have to remember that the Stones and the Beatles did not live in a vacuum, that people were taking drugs. Long before they were taking acid and all these things, long before the Stones or the Beatles ever were. That was part of their generation, as well as, they are part of their time as much as anybody else. They don't live, in a... And I don't think the Stones really promoted drugs. It just happened to be what they were doing, and they write about what they were doing.
Well, this conversation is getting a little bit off of the book, because I think the book is far more important than the pages that are dedicated to the drugs that the Stones use. But you have to remember that Mr. Nice Guy on television, the epitome of Mr. Sweet and Lovely, Dick Van Dyke, was an alcoholic, and yet when Dick Van Dyke is on television, the press doesn't say, "Here's an ex-drunk. Here's an ex-drunk." Betty Ford, the President of the United States, his wife, was an ex-alcoholic. And for some reason, us old heads, or the press, if you want to use the press, never zeroes in and says, "Hey, that's an old drunk." That Dick Van Dyke is still Mr. Nice Guy, the brother of Pat Boone, and we old heads will say, well, we excuse it, look how nice it is. But while he was making the Dick Van Dyke show, this guy was a lush. Mm-hmm. The press why didn't the press follow Dick Van Dyke around in some of his drunken escapades as they exploit, say, the Stones or the Beatles? I'm not excusing either one, but I think David has a point when he says the press played it up.
Yeah, I'd like to jump in too while I'm here, because I'm the guilty party, guilty of snickering at the gentleman. Okay. I wasn't snickering about the drugs, actually. I was snickering because no, he was talking about the Rolling Stones. He said, "I don't like the way they play those guitars and horns." Somewhere Bobby Keys is rolling over in Memphis or wherever he happens to be, because he's one of the horn players. I don't know that the guy knew who any of the horn players were, and I was snickering at that. Also, I listen to the Rolling Stones. I've been alive for about 23 years and don't make drugs a part of my life. So I don't know why they would have promoted drugs. I like the Rolling Stones a lot.
You're here at DB, that's why, Alan.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions, ma'am?
No.
Thank you for calling. There isn't a more modern dental equipment office, a better equipped office anywhere than the Apple Dental Center in Northeast Philadelphia at 8037 Frankfurt Avenue, where I go. But more important than the physical plan is the quality of the dentistry. Believe me, it's the finest. I ought to know. I go there. My whole family goes there. They say the Apple Dental Center caters to cowards, and I'll be honest with you, I was a coward, and a lot of us are. I was afraid to go to the dentist. I neglected my teeth, and I was glad I went. That dentist took care of me like a mother takes care of a baby. The only trouble is he never gave me an allowance, but listen, I can excuse him for one shortcoming. That's the Apple Dental Center at 8037 Frankfurt Avenue. Open evening, lots of room to park. The street is brightly lighted at night. Visa, MasterCard accepted. Union, government, and insurance dental plans are honored. It's easily reached by public transportation. 66 bus from Bridge Street stops right at the corner of Rowan and Frankfurt. Take a little walk right down to the Apple Dental Center. Convenient to South Jersey by way of the Tacony Palmyra Bridge, and that one's only a dime, folks. Just minutes away. You just dial Apple 70, that's APPLE 70 like I did. Call for an appointment. They're not a clinic. Okay? You must have an appointment. There's no waiting. Remember, if you can't bite into an apple like this, Boy, that guy's impetuous, isn't he? Well, that's what it sounds like when you go to the Apple Dental Center in the Great Northeast at 8037 Frankfurt Avenue. You're going to enjoy going to the dentist like I do.
Let's see how you like this one.
Hi, this is Stan Bajer. I'm inviting you to join me for my next program at 3 o'clock in the afternoon with my special guest, Sid Mark, and a very special new album by Frank Sinatra, which Sid will preview on the air, any place, for the first time. That's the Stan Major program, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, with my special guest Sid Mark and Frank Sinatra's brand new album, heard for the first time here on WWDB, the talk station.
How about that?
Indeed, this is Irv Homer on WWDB 96 FM. Did you know that the intersection of routes 47 and 41 in Deptford, New Jersey has become one of South Jersey's most popular spots? You didn't know that, Bunky? I'm telling you. The reason, that's the location of the newly expanded 5 Points Diner Restaurant Bakery. People love 5 Points breakfast, lunches, and dinners. They're made with the finest, freshest food prepared to perfection, and the portions are huge. I mean, really huge. The side dishes command a special attention found nowhere else. And for dessert, their cheesecake has become the people's choice. It's rich and creamy and delicious. You don't have to go to New York anymore. Now that 5 Points seating capacity has tripled, they're prepared to host business luncheons, social gatherings, and parties. There's a cozy conference room for private meetings. The 5 Points Diner Restaurant Bakery is near the Deptford Mall, just minutes from the Walt Whitman Bridge, at Route 47 and 41 in Deptford, New Jersey. They're open 7 days a week. Now, for private gatherings, you call 609-228-5166. That number again, 609-228-5166. When you're hungry, you go to 5 Points. You're going to return again and again and again.
WWDB, the talk station.
And if you're going to split over to 5 Points Diner, you better get that car of yours in shape. You know, now's the time to get your car ready for the harsh winter weather. The cold can really do you in if you're not prepared. Well, the good guys at Milex Tune-Up Center in Willow Grove are ready to winterize your car. Don't put it off because the weather's been kind of warm. Milex is a full-service car care center specializing in brakes as well as tune-ups. And if you're having problems with rough idling, poor gas mileage, overheating, or squeaky belts, stop into the folks at Milex. They're there to help. They'll service your car while you wait. The Willow Grove Milex is an official state inspection center. So for complete car care, from antifreeze to spark plugs, you see the experts at the Milex Tune-Up Centers, Easton and Moreland Road, Willow Grove, right across the street from the new Willow Grove Mall. Stop by or give them a call at 659-3050. That's 659-3050. The weather's going to get cold, so you pop up there to Milex. My guest, and he has to split in about 2 minutes, is David Dalton. He's the author of the book, The Rolling Stones, The First 20 Years. Dave, we really didn't get a chance to get into the book in depth, but I find it fascinating. I'll probably finish it by Thanksgiving. It's a comprehensive book. And for an old guy like me, I'm learning more about a part of life as it is. You know, the life as you like it to be is one thing,
right,
but life as it is there. And the
really?
Stones are part of it. And if you don't know about
I'm really glad you're getting into it, Irv. You know,
well, I'm perfectly honest. You know, I was talking to you off the microphone, and the reason that I was getting involved in it. And I think it's vitally important if you're going to be well-rounded, regardless of what age you are, to know what's happening. Let's see, can we take any more? Yeah, I think maybe we can get a real fast call in because these people have been waiting. No more call. Okay, do people on there. We're not going to get to them. Dave, have the Stones seen the book?
Oh, yeah. Keith has had a copy for about 4 months.
Right. Their attitude about the book. Good, bad?
Well, they love it. They're always kind of amazed that anybody is that interested. I mean, obviously, with all these tickets, but, you know, why would anybody want to see all these pictures? I mean, it's not false modesty. It's simply that they are mortals, hard as it is for fans like myself to believe, and that they find all this interest in themselves quite, even after 20 years, quite puzzling. You know, I mean, they love the book because the book is basically very positive, obviously, about them. It incorporates critical elements, but it's a book by a fan for fans, and they know that. They're just, in a way, they've always been sort of puzzled, like, you know, I mean...
They can't understand their success.
Really?
I haven't suffered from that yet in broadcasting,
I know.
David. Believe me.
They have a serious problem that we haven't had to deal with yet.
David, continue. Good luck. It is an excellent book, The Rolling Stones, The First 20 Years, and I suggest if you want to give your young people a gift for Christmas, this is going to answer many questions for you. David, thanks again
Thank
for coming.
you, Irv.
WWDB, Philadelphia, the talk station.
It's It's 40 degrees, cloudy and brisk. Good afternoon. This is Betty Berneman in the WWDB newsroom. Some encouraging news for a change on the Philadelphia school situation. At a meeting this morning between members of the school board and city council, there was optimism expressed that the system could remain in operation through June. The projected deficit now $68.5 million, about the same as last year's. As for the $30 million transfer ordinance to the schools, City Council President Joe Coleman says they'll hold up action on that until a new teachers' pact is reached, and that there may not be need for it after all.
If the cash flow is good, number one, and if the deficit of the $68 million can be held over to next year, it may not be necessary for council to move in that direction. However, we're prepared to move if we have to.
City Council President Joe Coleman. Negotiations on a new teacher's contract resume at this hour under the watchful eye of the state mediator. A response to the 50-day teacher strike today from 12 State House members. The lawmakers banded together to introduce legislation that would ban teachers' walkout unless a court had decided that the school board had not bargained in good faith. The State House Finance Committee today decided it wanted to hold public hearings before voting on a measure that would change the way education is financed in the state. The bill would give local school districts the option of replacing property taxes with an income tax of up to 3.5%. An announcement today from Governor Thornburg on proposed legislation to help benefit Pennsylvania's elderly citizens. Speaking in Philadelphia, the governor said his measures would increase senior benefits by $284 million over the next 6 years using the profits of the state lottery system. In the Garden State, the gubernatorial contest remains unsettled as official certified figures from the Secretary of State have yet to be released. Unofficial tallies, however, show Republican Tom Kaine's lead over Democrat James Florio, slipping to 1,644 votes. Kaine will hold a news conference in 1/2 hour in which he'll declare himself the governor-elect and name a transition team. The economy will be the subject of a presidential news conference at 2 o'clock. You can hear Mr. Reagan live right here on WWDB. And Senator William Proxmire's latest Golden Fleece Award for waste has gone to the Federal Highway Administration. The Wisconsin Democrat says there's a 267% total cost overrun in construction of the interstate highway system. The agency says it's studying the charges. On the sports page, the Sixers face the Pistons in Pontiac, Michigan tonight, and TV and radio sports fan can get their jollies all at once. Channel 3's Rod Luck will be Howard Eskin's guest here on 96 FM tonight at 6. Rod will perform his TV sportscasting right here from the WWDB studios. The DB Weather Watch calls for cloudy skies this afternoon, partly cloudy tonight and tomorrow. Lows tonight in the mid to upper 30s, highs tomorrow in the low 50s, and our current temperature is 40 degrees. This is Betty Berneman, WWDB News.
Our contact number in Philadelphia, in the western suburbs, and in New Jersey, 365-4100. WWDB. 365-4100. WWDB. 365-4100. WWDB.
And indeed, we're back on WWDB 96 FM, the talk station in Philadelphia. The talk station in Philadelphia. I'm Irv Homer. And now we will be in open forum until 2 o'clock when President Reagan will tell us. I really don't know what he's going to say at 2 o'clock. Anybody have any ideas about what the president is going to say at 2 o'clock? But we will carry on WWDB 96 FM, the president's speech or news conference from 2 until 2:30. And then we'll be able to talk about it from 2:30 until 3. Anybody want to speculate on what the president is going to say at 2 o'clock? I don't have the faintest idea as to what the man will say or what he won't say, but we will find out. This book, The Rolling Stones, is quite fascinating, if you were listening. The publisher is Knopf. It is it gives you kind of an insight into the words, the music, the whole concept of rock music and what the Rolling Stones are all about, where they came from, newspaper articles. The thing that is fascinating more than anything is the tremendous amount of money that is generated in the world today, not only by musicians such as of the caliber of the Rolling Stones, but I guess of baseball players, football players. I wonder, I guess it's an unfair question to ask, but when you talk about musicians, I don't know whether Benny Goodman ever generated $127 million in a concert. I mean, Benny Goodman played Carnegie Hall. Here's something. Here's an insight. Let me make this comparison. Most people say, well, why not the finer things of life, like opera? Okay? Yet, I know 4 opera stars, personally, that cannot make a living. Their voices are unbelievable. One dear friend of mine, and the guy is just such a delight. I'll mention his name, Walter Rinaldi, is a delightful individual, has a voice that makes goose pimples pop up on you. And yet everybody screams about the Stones making $127 million on their tour, and yet people don't support the arts. Now that's got to say something. You're knocking, old heads will knock the Stones. Alan Toles is sitting in with me, and they'll knock the Stones. And yet, when it comes to the arts, they won't. It takes one individual. Luciano Pavarotti finally came out of the woodwork, and he's promoted. He's being sold to the public, and people are going to see Luciano Pavarotti. They're not going to hear opera. They're going to see this man, this individual. Young people go to hear the Stones, to see the Stones, to listen to the music, to rate the music. Nobody goes to see Pavarotti. First of all, a lot of people go to see Pavarotti, I think, because it's the in thing to do, you see. It's the in thing to do. The second thing is, he himself is a mystique. I think the last thing that people go to see Pavarotti for is to hear him sing, or to listen to the tone of his voice or the quality of his voice. In reverse, I think young people go to relate to the Stones, to see the Stones, and the last thing they do is to be seen at a Stones concert. They go there because they want to hear the music and see the Stones. Alan, does it make any sense?
A little bit. A lot of people that go to concerts, specifically larger concerts, like a Stones concert at a large stadium, go because it's a social event. They know that 95,000 other kids the same age or thereabouts are going to be there to share something that they like too. And when you go to see a group like the Rolling Stones indoor at a place where tickets are at a premium, I know personally I had gone to see the Rolling Stones just recently in North Jersey because I'm a fanatic for that particular band, and took a ride with some friends to the Meadowlands in New Jersey. People outside the stadium, outside that arena, were selling the tickets that they had bought in New York City for $15.75, which was the price of the tickets. We didn't pay an exorbitant rate, but some of the people that were buying tickets outside paid upwards of $85 to $90 a piece for seats on the floor.
So people pay $100 to hear Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, true. But these are kids,
right? So I mean,
they aren't going they're not going because another star is going to be in the audience, or they're not going because their boss is going to be there, and they're not people that make $30,000 or $40,000 a year working jobs. They're just kids paying the price to see the Rolling Stones because they want to see the Rolling Stones. It's a little different.
The thing that I still go back on, Alan, is that generation gap. Do you think that music has created a generation gap? And as a result of the music and the lyrics, the generation gap, I'm not blaming the music for the gap, but the young people will relate to the music and the songs of the Stones, and the parents are relating to the songs and the music of Frank Sinatra. I mean, New York, blah, blah, blah. And I know young people listen to Sinatra, and I know old people listen to the Stones. I'm talking about the mass of, quote, mass of young people, quote, mass of old people.
I don't think the music created the generation gap. I think the generation gap created the music, or at least the need for the music.
Very possible.
Because given the ideals that your parents bestow upon you, or maybe people even a little older than my parents, we were looking for something different. And what we found was something that was marketed to us, like in the mid-'60s. I wasn't quite old enough to be marketed at. I wasn't part of that target age. But when David was here, he was explaining how Andrew Oldham, the manager of the Rolling Stones, had the press take care of planning things like, would you let your daughter go out with a Rolling Stone? We were looking for the kind of truth or the kind of freedom that we weren't getting from the parents of the time or from the elder people that were advising younger people at the time. That gave a reason for the Beatles to grow their hair long or the Rolling Stones to grow their hair long, to say, this is what we want to do. And it was that gap that happened before that created the music.
I wonder how many people listening to this program of my generation, my age, if you will, are going through this conflict, and I admit it personally on the air, of trying to understand the Stones and the Hendrix and the Croces and the Mama Cass. And I wonder how many of you people out there, you people in my age, and can you relate to what I'm saying? That it's not going to go away. The music of Mother's Little Helper, Mama cooking the steak and popping a pill, that ain't going to go away. My children are going to be listening to it. My grandchildren will be listening to it. And if I, as an adult, a senior citizen in the near future, am going to be able to understand society, I better learn what is being said, what is being sung, what is going on.
But a lot of people don't realize the timelessness of this particular music, because most of the rock music that's come along since the late 50s through now have come along in different styles and different phases. And, for instance, as opposed to Frank Sinatra, who could possibly record the same song in the same style in a 40-year span and still convey the same message, the music that kids listen to changes. And when the people who've been old enough, just even on the fringes, not really listening to the music, but hear the changes, they assume that it's a fad type of music. Well, it's gone away. It's been replaced with music that's louder.
Interesting thing. Do you think maybe it is the old people, we thought, hey, it'll go away. If we don't learn about it, it'll go away.
Maybe.
365-4100 is the contact number. We'll take your phone calls. Any older people out there, or younger people, but older people starting to listen to the lyrics of the Stones? And Alan, if you would, relate some of the lyrics of what the Stones are saying. We've been talking, in circles about their popularity. Lay some of the lyrics of some of the songs on me and on the audience.
Well, it gets tricky because the Rolling Stones sing about the things that the people of your age generally don't want to hear about.
Well, that's why I want you to say it.
I don't want about sex.
I don't want to hear it. I want you to tell me about those lyrics, all right? If you heard about Nature's Bounty Spirulina, it is an amazing new natural food supplement. It's rich in protein and B12. Nature's Bounty Spirulina is believed to be, by a number of scientists, the first natural appetite suppressant, acting on the brain's appetite control center to switch off hunger pangs. Now, switching off hunger pangs is not a new concept, okay? There's a number of products, all of which are drugs, that make this claim. However, the products that are drugs, there are dangers, especially if a person has high blood pressure, kidney disorders, heart problems. Nature's Bounty Spirulina is the first natural food supplement available for dieters. And if you're looking for a natural food supplement to depress your appetite, you stop into your nearby Clover pharmacy. That's Nature's Bounty Spirulina, available at your nearby Clover pharmacy. It is also available at the Arrow Discount at 15th and Sansom, Market Street Discounts, 11th and Market, and Center City Plaza in Cornwall Heights, and Shelley's Pharmacies in Northeast Philadelphia.
Hi, this is Bernie Herman. Young parents, sexual identification, family rules and regulations, working mothers, living together, living apart, living alone. These are all topics I'm discussing with my listeners every night this week on The Bernie Herman Show. It's my 5-part series on the modern American family, and I hope that you will listen and call. We start every night at 8 right here on the talk station, 96 FM, WWDB.
Well, there is a little store that I love to go shopping in, and I'll probably be doing a lot of Christmas shopping at We're Not All Nuts. The store is called that's the name of the store, folks. We're Not All Nuts. We're Not All Nutties. That's them. And they got delicious munchies up there. Place kind of reminds me of an old-fashioned candy store. They've got loads of hard candies, homemade chocolates that are absolutely delicious, and carob-covered nuts and raisins, loads of dried fruits, and of course, they've got all kind of nuts, fresh. I repeat, the turnover at We're Not All Nuts doesn't leave. Just about the time the nut gets comfortable in the bin, whoosh, out it goes, and a new one is replacing it. What I like about We're Not All Nuts is it offers a unique alternative when you have to give a gift, whether it's a gourmet gift, a Shiva tray, a gift for somebody in the hospital, your sweetheart. You name the occasion or the event, they'll send a gift that's going to please everyone. I know, I do it. A lot of listeners have found the store and use this phone number, 364-2857, 364-2857. That number will relieve a lot of problems for you when you have to give that special gift. Visa, MasterCard, welcome. We're Not All Nuts is in Richboro. It is at the intersection of Bustleton Pike and 2nd Street Pike. You stop in there, or you can send a gift by calling 364-2857, 364-2857. We're Not All Nuts. What a delightful store.
What's wrong with the way I sell cars?
Go ahead, sell me a car.
You say you want a good deal on a car? I'll tell you what I'm going to...
Hold it. That's enough. At Keystone Volvo Subaru in Berwyn, there's no pressure, no hype.
Who's hyping?
No shouting.
Who's shouting?
We're all very relaxed.
That's why I wear this pink coat and white shoes. It relaxes me.
It's very nice.
You want to buy it? Tell you what I'm going to...
No. At Keystone Volvo Subaru in Berwyn, we believe in selection, value, and service.
All right, I get it. I'm just a fast-talking, slicky car salesman.
Mm-hmm. Why don't you try our competition?
They fired me.
How come?
They didn't think I was aggressive enough.
I see.
That's right. At Keystone Motors, you won't ever find any hyped-up, aggressive salesman. You'll find only the truest professionals to serve you, and all sales are backed up by a superb service department using a new computerized diagnostic system to keep your automobile in the finest running condition. 2 locations to choose from: Keystone Volvo Subaru on Lancaster Avenue in Berwyn, Keystone Volvo Pontiac, South Main Street in Doylestown. You'll find a superb selection, value, and service at Keystone. You won't be disappointed. 365-4100 is the contact number. Alan, some of the lyrics that the Stones lay on people that, we kind of go, or is that what they said?
No, I don't think we're looking at obscene lyrics. I don't think we're looking at...
Messages, then.
Oh, we're definitely looking at messages. I can't get no satisfaction. Typifies at least what I think the early Rolling Stones were trying to say, the roots of their music. In fact, that particular song was not that song, but a song like it was a blues song called I Can't Be Satisfied. Muddy Waters did that from a long, long time ago. That's where the Stones got their roots. And what the Stones more or less say, and I can't get no satisfaction, is I try and I try and I try and I try and I can't get no satisfaction. When I'm driving in my car, when a man comes on the radio, he's telling me more and more about some useless information, supposed to try my imagination. I can't get no satisfaction. That's a shot at you, I guess. When I'm watching my TV and a man comes on to tell me how white my shirts can be, but he can't be a man because he doesn't smoke the same cigarettes as me, I can't get no satisfaction. I can't get no girl reaction because I try and I try and I try. I can't get no. When I'm riding around the world and doing this and signing that and I'm trying to make some girl, but she says come back next week because you see I'm on a losing streak, I can't get no satisfaction. So,
So there's a social message in there that the listener can relate to.
Oh, sure there is. There's also in some of the Rolling Stones songs, there's also a message of despair sometimes. For instance, a song of theirs called Paint It Black. I'll read the lyrics to you slowly. I see a red door and I want it painted black. No colors anymore. I want them painted black. I see the girls walk by dressed in their summer clothes. I have to turn my head until my darkness goes. I see a line of cars and they're all painted black, with flowers and my love, both never to come back. I see people turn their heads and quickly look away. Like a newborn baby, it just happens every day. I look inside myself and see my heart is black. I see my red door. I just had to paint it black. Maybe then I'll fade away and not have to face the facts. It's not easy facing up when your whole world is black. No more will my dreams seem to turn a deep sea blue. I could not foresee something or this thing happening to you. If I look hard enough into the setting sun, my love will laugh with me before the morning comes. And it repeats, I see a red door and I want to paint it black. You'd have to think about that.
That's a hell of a message there.
Yeah, sure
I wonder how that song would wash if Frank Sinatra sang that song.
Frank Sinatra, articulates his lyrics. He always enunciates properly, and you'd understand what he's saying. When the Rolling Stones sing this, or specifically when Mick Jagger sings this song, the words all get kind of slurred together, and you'll get little cryptic bits and pieces of them unless you really sit down and pay strict attention to what's going on. And you have to really like what you're listening to enough to do that, to listen to it over and over and over again. I hear music by Frank Sinatra I think is great, and I listen to him, and every word he says, you understand. And if Mick Jagger did that, a lot of the mystique would be lost, but a lot of the message would come through.
Right, but what I'm really referring to is not the style of Sinatra versus the Stones, but the message that the Stones are putting out is heavy.
Oh, it is.
I mean, these are questions, I guess, in their 20 years of music that young people have been asking, quote, the establishment. The establishment has never responded to it.
That's true. The song that David was talking about, Mother's Little Helper, that was in the montage that we had played. That was the song that started, what a drag it is getting old. Things are different today, I hear every mother say. Mother needs something today to calm her down, and though she's not really ill, there's a little yellow pill. She goes running for the shelter of her mother's little helper. And it helps her on her way, gets her through her busy day. That's what they're singing about. That's what they're saying.
Right. That's the observation of a young person watching Mama pop a Valium, or snorting a little booze, or tasting the wine that goes into the bouillabaisse.
True.
Interesting stuff. 365-4100, you're on the air. Thanks for waiting.
Yeah, good afternoon, Herb. I'm not an old head. I'm 25 years old, and I grew up basically with the Rolling Stones and all the rock and roll and hard rock. And what I feel that they've given in their message is to be like anti-family, anti-parent. They're taking their rebellious idea, which is fine for them with all the money they made, telling what, in their rebellious way, and telling the child, like myself, when I was younger, to go out and, life was this big cream puff, and you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that, which totally unprepares you for the realistic world.
I don't think that's very true. I don't think the money came first for these people. I think the attitude came first. I think that they were, anybody who's an artist, I would assume in rock and roll, unless they're doing it for the sheer love of the music, has to feel something inside themselves that they feel different than other people. They feel alienated maybe from their family situation and want to strike out on their own. That all comes before the money, and nobody's really saying that life is a cream puff.
If you take the statistics of, the way what children have grown up, and then things in their songs and many other songs, it's definitely against the parents, and if it's not of God, therefore I think that it's of Satan, whether you look in the degree as...
It's not of God, you're saying?
If it's not of God, it's of Satan. That makes sense to me. If something is not of God, then it's of Satan, because if you're not going to God, you're doing Satan's will,
What kind of music is of God?
Pardon me?
What kind of music is of God? Or what divine music is there that...
There's any song giving praise to God, I would say. Whether it could be whatever style you chose, from Bach or up to a type of rock and roll music.
Okay, my contention is that if the Rolling Stones' musical style and the way they played gave the message, praise be the Lord, I'd still buy their records because I like what they sound like.
Okay. Now you said, and I don't want to get into a religious discussion, but you said something very interesting. The music that is not of God is of the devil.
Well, if anything is not of God, it's of the devil.
Who makes that decision as to whether it's of God or the devil, you or God?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I didn't hear that.
I said, who makes the decision as to whether or not the music is of God or of the devil? Do you make that decision as a human, or does God make that decision?
Man has the will to make the decision.
Well, then maybe the Rolling Stones think their music is of God.
Well,
because apparently their message has gotten through and God's message hasn't.
Yeah, their message has gotten through.
Or maybe God has given them the ability with their instruments and their brains to articulate what they're thinking and feeling in a way that they can convey that message to other people en masse.
I'm sorry.
If you haven't already tried imported blackberry julep, I wish you would take Evil Irving's suggestion and go to your neighborhood package store if you have one, or your neighborhood state store in Pennsylvania, and pick up your first bottle. Bring it home, pour some blackberry julep over ice in a wine goblet, add a little splash of club soda if you wish, and then lean back and savor the fresh fruit bouquet in your glass. And now sip that rich, delicious taste of fresh, ripe blackberries. And you'll see why Evil Irving personally loves blackberry julep and why I now serve it to my guests. Or if you're partial to cherries, then try imported cherry julep. It's equally delicious. Now, both of these wines are made from the pure fruit. I repeat, the pure fruit. They're carefully nurtured by European winemakers to ensure the finest quality. Blackberry julep and cherry julep are imported by Jack Powston Company, New York. They're available wherever fine wines are sold. So with the holiday season coming up, you've tried the rest, now try the best. Blackberry julep and cherry julep.
Sears unwraps pre-holiday menswear values on polyester and wool blend suits. Now $79.97 while quantities last. Treat yourself to the classic styling of a three-piece suit in pinstripes, tweeds, or other patterns for only $79.97. These suits give you that great tailored look. Better hurry. At $79.97, quantities won't last forever. Available at most Sears retail stores. For pre-holiday values, you can count on Sears.
And, I think I can get that in. But no, Tom, don't forget at 2 o'clock we'll be carrying President Reagan's news conference. Are your life insurance policies robbing you? A Federal Trade Commission report concludes that purchasers of whole life policies are overpaying, underinsured, and earning only 1 to 2% of their cash value savings account. Future Capital Financial Planners agrees with the FTC. If you have whole life insurance, Future Capital can cut your present cost by 60% or more, increase your coverage by 3 to 5 times, and show you how to turn a 2% return into a 14% return. Now compare these rates with your present coverage. They're what you should be paying for $50,000 worth of life insurance coverage. If you're age 35, $773 a month. If you're age 45, $1,305 a month. If you're age 55, $2,189 a month. If you're paying more than this, or if you have not reviewed your life insurance program in the last 2 years, it'll pay you to call Future Capital Financial Planners. Call 9 to 6 daily at 886-5469. That's 886-5469. Alan, thanks for coming in here when David Dalton was here and talking about the Rolling Stones. It's always a pleasure, man, to have you come in here and rap because I feel younger when you're in the studio.
You're welcome. It's fun. I'll see you.
Good stuff. We'll be back right after President Reagan tells us how good things are.
WWDB, Philadelphia, the talk station.
It's 40 degrees, gray and cold. Good afternoon. This is Betty Berneman in the WWDB newsroom. The certified figures on New Jersey's gubernatorial contest have not yet been released, but Republican Tom Kean plans on declaring himself the winner at a news conference scheduled for this hour. An unofficial tally shows Kean ahead of Democrat James Florio by 1,644 votes. Pennsylvania's governor today announced proposed legislation to increase benefits to senior citizens by $284 million over the next 6 years. Governor Thornburg said the funding would come from the state lottery. 12 State House members today introduced measures that would ban teachers' strikes unless a court decides that a school board had not bargained in good faith. Negotiations on a new pact for Philadelphia's teachers are underway this afternoon. City Council President Joe Coleman says a proposed $30 million transfer to the schools won't be acted upon until a contract is hammered out. He also says he thinks there's enough money to keep the system operating through June. The countdown for Thursday's liftoff of the Space Shuttle Columbia is proceeding on schedule at Cape Canaveral, with the only worry for NASA officials right now, a storm front headed their way. President Reagan holds a news conference at this hour. Now let's join NBC News for live coverage of that event. It's 2 o'clock.